What if I told you there's an airport that costs $25 billion and barely anyone uses it? Sounds strange, right? But that's exactly what happened in Germany, a country known for doing things right. So, how did it all go so wrong? Today we'll look at the story of Berlin Brandenburg Airport, a project full of delays, mistakes, and wasted money. If you like stories where big plans fall apart, make sure to like this video and subscribe to Built to Collapse. Let's begin. A dream takes off. The promise. In the 1990s, Germany had just come back together after the Berlin Wall fell. People were full of hope, and Berlin was growing fast. But the city had a problem. 3 small airports, and none of them were good enough. So the government came up with a big idea. Build one big modern airport for all of Berlin. They said it would be modern, easy to use, a symbol of a new Germany, ready by 2011. Everyone was excited, but what started as a great plan turned into a huge failure. The timeline of a never-ending project. Let's see how badly things went by looking at the timeline. 1991, the idea for a new airport starts. 1996, they picked a place called Schönefeld near Berlin. 2006, construction begins. They say it will open in 2011. 2011, delayed. New plan, open in 2012. 2012, delayed again, just weeks before the opening. No new date. 2014, 2016, 2017, more delays. Each year, they say just one more year. 2020, at last, the airport finally opens. It was 9 years late, and if you count from the start in 1991, it took 29 years to finish. But by then, it was already out of date. The tech was old, airlines had moved on, and many people just didn't care anymore. What went wrong? So, what happened? How did a project from a country famous for order and precision go so wrong? Let's break it down. Fire safety fiasco. One of the biggest problems at BER was the fire safety system. And in an airport, that's a very serious thing. You need clear exits, working alarms, and fans to remove smoke during a fire. But at BER, the whole system was a mess. The smoke didn't go out, it was actually being pulled back into the building. Emergency doors wouldn't open properly. The wiring was wrong, and the alarms either gave false warnings or stayed silent when there was a real problem. When experts tested the system, it acted like there was a fire when nothing was happening. But when there really was a problem, it didn't respond at all. One engineer even joked, "If there's ever a fire, just run." It wasn't funny, but it showed how bad things were. They had to tear out the system and build it again from scratch, which cost hundreds of millions of euros and delayed the project by years. Poor planning and design. The design of BER had problems right from the start. Some of the mistakes were hard to believe. For example, the escalators were too short, so people couldn't get to the next floor properly. The check-in counters were placed in the wrong areas, making it confusing for travelers. And the baggage system kept breaking down, which caused delays and lost luggage. It felt like the airport was built using parts from different puzzles. Nothing fit the way it should, but the biggest problem of all was the size. The airport was simply too small. While they were busy fixing problems and delaying the opening year after year, Berlin's population was growing fast. By the time the airport finally opened, 9 years late, it was already too crowded to handle the number of passengers it was meant for. A project meant to serve the future couldn't even meet the needs of the present. Too many cooks in the kitchen. Another big problem with BER was that too many people were in charge. There were local government officials, state leaders, national ministers, private companies, contractors, engineers, and designers. Everyone had a say, but no one was truly in control. Each person or group had their own ideas. One would say, "Let's add this," and another would say, "No, take it out." This led to a lot of confusion, arguments, and delays. People kept changing the plans and it became hard to move forward. One manager even joked, "We had 20 bosses and no one really in control." That shows how messy things had become. With so many people pointing fingers, no one wanted to take the blame when things went wrong. Problems kept piling up, and instead of fixing them, everyone just passed them to someone else. This lack of clear leadership became one of the biggest reasons the airport kept falling behind. A national embarrassment. As the years passed, BER became a big joke in Germany. Comedy shows made fun of it, and newspapers started calling it Germany's most famous failure. Some tourists even visited the empty airport just to see how bad it was. For a country known for fast trains, smart engineers, and strong planning, this was very embarrassing. People couldn't believe how badly it was going. Some even joked that the airport would never open. Others said it might be easier to just tear it down and start from scratch. What was once a proud project became a national shame. The cost, $25 billion and counting. The airport was supposed to cost around $2 billion in the beginning, but after all the delays, mistakes, and changes, the cost went up to over $25 billion. That's more than 12 times the original price. So where did all that money go? A lot was spent on fixing broken systems, rebuilding parts, paying experts, legal issues, and just waiting around. In the end, BER became one of the most expensive airports ever, but it still looked and worked like something built years too late. Finally opening in a pandemic. When BER finally opened in October 2020, something strange happened. The world was dealing with the COVID-19 pandemic. Planes weren't flying, and people were staying home. Travel had dropped by almost 80%, so after all the waiting, spending, and stress, the airport opened to almost empty runways. On the first day, only 2 planes landed. That's all. Some people even joked, maybe it's better it opened now. Fewer people to see the mess. Is it useful now? Yeah, so what's the situation now? Well, BER is finally open and working, but it's not what people were hoping for. Many travelers say it feels cold, empty, and outdated. It doesn't feel like a modern, world-class airport. The design is plain, the shops are half closed, and some airlines even avoid using it. That's surprising for a city like Berlin, a major capital in Europe. A city this important should have one of the best and busiest airports in the world. But instead, BER already felt old and disappointing when it opened. Yes, planes land and take off and people use it, but there's nothing special about it. It doesn't leave a good impression. It doesn't feel exciting or fresh. After spending so much time, effort, and over $25 billion, BER turned out to be just okay. And for many people, that's the most disappointing part of all. What can we learn from BER? The story of Berlin Brandenburg Airport isn't just about one building. It teaches us some bigger lessons. Good ideas need good execution. Planning something big isn't enough. You need smart leadership, good communication, and the right people doing the right jobs. Politics can ruin projects. Too many leaders fighting for control can slow things down. Decisions must be clear and fast, especially in big public projects. Technology changes fast. If your project takes 10 or 20 years, the tech you start with may be useless by the time you finish. You have to move quickly. Don't ignore red flags. BER had problems early on, but no one wanted to stop and fix them properly. Small problems became giant disasters. Final thoughts. Germany wanted this airport to show progress, but instead it showed how even the smartest and richest countries can make big mistakes. BER is finally open now, but people will always remember the delays, the wasted money, and how badly things went. So next time your flight is late, just think, at least your airport actually works. What do you think? Have you ever been to an airport that was just terrible? Can BER still be useful in the future? If you enjoy real stories about big dreams that collapse, make sure to like this video and subscribe to Built to Collapse. We'll be back with more stories like this, because sometimes the way things fall apart tells us more than the way they're built. See you in the next one.